Hello guys, I'm making another quick video on basically how to possibly improve gameplay quality or even improve the graphics quality on the game. Obviously you can set the graphics quality on the game itself by well, clicking on the settings in the top right corner, going on to the settings part of the game you're playing, and normally you can set the quality from high quality to low quality depending on how your phone is able to run the game. And by turning it down, if you're using a phone that can't actually process the game properly, turning it down could actually help you improve how your phone is able to handle the game, like process it better, so you might be able to run more smoothly and whatnot. But yeah, we're going to be going through some development options built into most mobile phones, especially Android devices, where you can actually improve how your phone runs the games. And I have made a kind of a brief video on this before, but I've done some research on this recently, and I thought I'd go through what I've learned so far. So I'm just going to take a look at what I've messed around with. I've put this on temporarily. I'm not sure if it's going to be of much help to me. Just basically says keep mobile data turned on at all times, even while Wi-Fi is in use, to make it quicker to switch networks. So yeah, that's just so that basically if I'm using Wi-Fi and I want to switch to mobile data, it'll do the auto switch, especially if I've got the auto turned on for switching between Wi-Fi and mobile data a lot quicker, because it's going to keep the mobile data turned on instead of turning it off or whatnot. So I've just put that on temporarily, see if it makes it any better for keeping the signal more stable when I'm moving around and my Wi-Fi is on. But yeah, we're going to scroll down. We're going to activate, first of all, I'm going to show you how to activate developer options, which you probably already know. Go into the settings of your phone, go to About Device, scroll down to, hang on, we don't need this. I'm using a Samsung Galaxy S8, so there's like a few more steps. Normally you'll be straight up onto this page, but this has some sort of display thing before you go onto this page, so you click in. And click on build number, I believe, 8 times. It says already enabled because I have already enabled it. Click that 8 times, your build number, and your development options will pop up. Then you'll scroll down to your development options, you'll click on it, and you'll be scrolling down looking for the column. Say here, you got network. We're going to scroll down a bit further. We're looking for hardware acceleration. And you're looking in particular for force GPU rendering and enable 4-star MSSA. And another one you want to keep a lookout for is disable hardware overlay. That one I'm going to go into a bit more detail about on why you might or might not want to do that, depending on how your phone is able to handle what it is you're doing. This is mainly towards games. Now, for a little bit of explanation on what 4 times MSAA, which a lot of people tend to like using. Hang on a moment, smooth that out the way. Which a lot of people tend to recommend and like using when playing games. I thought I'd go into a bit more detail about what it actually does. Well, what it actually does is, I forgot the actual technical name of it, but basically it'll smoothen out the lines on the gameplay. So, for example, if you got the, where you're looking at a gun or something like that, and you look at the edge of the gun, you'll find that with it disabled, the graphics, the lining of the gun around the edge of it might be more jaggedy and stuff like that. Well, enabling this will actually smoothen it out. I'm not really sure what the termination for it. It's but basically, yeah, it just smoothens out the graphics while the graphic display is on it. So it's not actually designed to help like speed up the game in any way or make it run smooth or anything like that. It's just improve quality, really. But what you really want to pay good attention to is force GPU rendering. Force use of GPU for 2D drawings. Now, what does this actually mean? Well, basically, when you're playing the game or anything like that, you might be using your CPU, and the CPU will be trying to process the game and everything else, your internet connection, all that puts a lot of strain on the CPU. And obviously, if your phone's hardware is struggling with running the game, then it's going to be really bad without that GPU turned on. Now, what the GPU is it's basically like a software type thing, from what I'm aware of. Is it a software or hardware? Let's have a look. Hang on, give me a second. I believe it's a software type thing, or something like that. I'm not sure. But anyways, by using the Force GPU rendering, what it does is, instead of the CPU, which is built into the device, obviously, having to process the game as well as everything else that your phone is doing, it switches it over to the GPU. So the GPU is processing the game instead. And what you'll find that this will do is it allows it to run the game faster. Now, there's a test you can do. I forgot what the test is called. But there's a test you can do where you can download an application to test the GPU and the CPU. And what it'll do is it'll allow you to click on the screen and make a box appear. Now, if you're using the CPU and you make one box appear, it'll bring the box up in the highest quality, really testing the CPU. And the box will start off small, then expand to big, while rotating, then shrink to small, and it'll do it at quite a fast speed. A slightly faster speed than the GPU can handle. So when you do it on the GPU, it'll be a little bit slower, but not too much slower. However, what you'll find is if you make more boxes appear on the CPU, what'll happen is all the boxes will start to slow down rapidly and go really slow. But if you do it with the GPU, they'll maintain their speed and their consistency. They won't decrease. Which means if you're playing a really fast-paced game, there's a lot of things going on the game, you know what I mean? A lot of players running around using skills, things like that. Things that can really put some strain on the CPU. To be able to improve that, make the game run better, you really want Force GPU rendering. It takes the strain off the CPU and makes the GPU do the work in processing the game and running it instead. So if you're having problems with running the game and stuff like that, you really want to enable that one. It will help you out. The 4-star MSSA is basically, I think it's classed as an overlay or something like that, I forgot what the word's called, but it starts with an A. But basically, it'll smoothen out the graphics on it, like the edge of your character, your gun or weapon or whatnot. Just basically make the game look more smoother around all the linings of it and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's what that's actually for. And then you've got, of course, this one, which really depends on how your phone's performing. Disable hardware overlays. Always use GPU for screen compromising. So with that, I would say if you're using if you've got your GPU turned off, for example, and you decide to turn it on and you find that your CPU is still struggling, then you might want to direct your hardware overlays to the GPU, instead of making your CPU have to deal with that as well. And you can do that by turning this on. Now, by doing that, instead of the CPU having to do the screen compromising and your GPU rendering, by turning both of these on, now the CPU isn't going to have to do that. The GPU will. So this should help significantly when it comes to playing the game, making it run smoothly. And then I just put this on for like a little bit of extra quality. But yeah, that's something I thought I'd point out for you. This one will actually basically make the game run a little bit smoother because the CPU isn't doing all the work, the GPU is instead. And this basically directs the screen compromising from the CPU having to do it to the GPU. You know what I mean? If you direct it to the GPU and it's still a little bit slow, you might want to turn it off and have, well, you might want to try having the GPU handling this and the CPU handling that. And see if that helps. If that doesn't work, you might want the GPU handling this and you might want to try the CPU handling that. If that isn't any better, then try handling both. You know what I mean? Just mess around with those, see if you can get it to, well, get the game to run a little bit better. They should help you out. So I thought I'd make this video just to go over that. And then obviously the 4-star MSAA. Although people think it's to help speed up the phone because it can actually make games run a little bit better in some cases, depending on the games that you're running. It's not actually made for that. It's made for smoothing out the lines on the game, on like basically the graphics. So it just makes it feel like it's able to move a bit clearer. You know what I mean? Less blurry and less jaggedy. So yeah, that's what that's for. But you really want to be messing around with disable hardware overlay, so you can switch it over from CPU to GPU. And this one, force GPU rendering, that's the first one you really want to be testing. Should make the game run better. You know what I mean? If the game's still struggling after activating that, then try activating this one. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye bye for now.